So can you tell me about the different kind of mushrooms and their properties, and also elaborate to me the difference between the mushrooms that grow out of like mud and dirt compared to those that grow out of trees?
Okay, that's an excellent question. No, the ones that don't grow on trees, they're still powerful now. Like those magic mushrooms, for example. A lot of people have like stereotypes about them, right? Because they've been criminalized in this society. But those are actually very powerful medicines that have, amazing health properties. One of the amazing health properties that they have is that they stimulate neurogenesis, which is the creation of new neural cells in your brain, new neurons, new pathways. And it's amazing, man. These medicines also, they cure PTSD, post-traumatic stress, anxiety, addictions. They break addictions, and they're not addictive in themselves. And this stuff is documented. So, we have to look beyond what the government says, because they are trying to hide the truth, right? And like, for example, opioid addiction is a big thing now in the country. You have many people addicted to opioids. Now, the magic mushrooms have the ability to help opioid addicts break that addiction in just 1 or 2 sessions. No, they don't want that, because that interferes with the amount of money they could make pimping you out long term on pharmaceutical medicines. So they would say, no, the magic mushrooms, don't use that, because it working too fast, and it, we can't exploit our patients long term as we would with our proprietary traditional medicines. Okay? So that's the way the United States operate, right? They don't want threats to their economic security. Even if it's good, even if it's safe, even if it's validated by science, they still don't want it. So you have to be, challenging what the government says, man, these quote-unquote authorities, right? So now, certain mushrooms, you said, like, they're growing out of the ground, out of the soil. Some of those mushrooms, they're still connected to roots, right, to root systems of trees. Even though they're not growing like directly on the tree, you can't see it, but under the ground, the mycelium is still connected to the tree. So those are still valid, to consume, and super good, man. Yeah, that's very, very important that we break into a diet consisting of mushrooms, man. We need them. We need them. Mushrooms are how we fight the battle against cancer and all these other diseases. They're very, very important. To be used on a regular basis, not just once in a while. This is something that we need to incorporate into our diets on a daily basis. All the time we gotta be eating them. Especially the more powerful ones like lion's mane. Like you mentioned earlier, portobello and the button, those are like the weakest mushrooms. You could eat them, but you don't really get no super medicinal power from them. The ones that you want to focus on eating is lion's mane, enoki, oyster mushrooms, king oyster. There's one called tremella, shiitake mushrooms. Those are the ones that's like super medicinal. Turkey tail, reishi. Those mushrooms are amazing. The reishi mushroom is called the mushroom of immortality, and it has helped people to reverse stage 4 cancer. Completely cure them of cancer, undetectable cancer. And they're proven medicinally, and most of the research is coming out of Asian countries. These European countries, they ain't really up to speed on the mushroom. These are carnivorous people in these European countries versus more omnivorous people in other areas, right? So like Japan, China, Korea, those Asian countries, even like Vietnam, Thailand, they're more into a wider array of mushrooms in the diet and in their lifestyle, going back like thousands of years. They eat them on a regular basis. And that's where you would find even people, you have like sanitarian communities, people living into their hundreds routinely, free from disease and living full lives because they're eating these things. I'll give you a quick example. There was a community in Japan, and an epidemiologist couldn't figure out why these people did not catching cancer like the surrounding community. There's one community, they wasn't catching cancer like the communities around it over a 14-year period. So this epidemiologist, and an epidemiologist, this is a doctor that studies death patterns, like what's killing people. So he's trying to figure out, man, how come these people ain't catching cancer like everybody else? So what he came to find out is that they were growing this enoki mushroom. And this enoki mushroom is an awesome tasting mushroom. And in addition to tasting good, it's like full of medicine, like super anti-cancer. So this whole community was eating them. And that is what made them healthy enough that their statistics for cancer were far below the surrounding populations, you know, which is an indication that, man, if they living based on that, that's something that I would like to try. You know what I'm saying? I got to get involved in that. I got to do some research about that. Because if it's killing cancer now, this mushroom, man, I definitely want that, because we live in a world where cancer is killing the people. If I could find something that I could eat that could kill the cancer, that's what I want, you know. And even that's what led me now, I'm growing mushrooms, you know. Forget about just studying about it, doing research on it, you know, from a erudite standpoint, you know, and just reading. You know, I grow in mushrooms. I'm in the forest harvesting mushrooms, picking them out of the wild, cooking them. You know, right now we have several mushroom blends that we're making available to the people to help them on their path to curing them of all these diseases that they've been getting because of toxic exposure. You know, so they're very, very important, man. Human beings are fungivores. We're not carnivores. We're not vegetarians. You know, we need to be eating fungi all the time. It's very important. And it tastes good.